Welcome, my name is Chef Rob Lukasik, and I'm going to teach you today on how to make a vegetable stock. And what do we use a vegetable stock for? Well, if you're going to cook some grains at home, some rice, some quinoa, something healthy for yourself, why not use some of your leftover vegetables or some vegetables that are kind of turning or going bad? So we can incorporate those into something, get that flavor, and then impart that flavor into those types of grains or whatever we want to cook. Or the type of liquid that we want to use to flavor those grains. So why not use our leftover vegetables? So when you make a vegetable stock, you want probably somewhere around 6 to 7 vegetables. You don't want to have like 10 or 12 different vegetables because then the flavors can become too complex. So we usually use about 6 or 7. Certain types of vegetables you don't want to use, anything like a potato or any type of squash, because of the starchiness. Okay, so we're going to use. I always used to like to use onions, carrots, celery. I have a few mushrooms, some garlic, of course, some tomato. Adds a little color, a little flavor. And like I said, if you're ever making some things at home and you're like peeling your carrots or taking the tops off your celery, anytime you take something off the vegetable that you might throw out, why not save that and cook it down with some water and flavor that water, and then use that the next time you go to cook a grain or a rice or a quinoa. So it's better to add that type of flavor and utilize something and enhance that, impart that flavor into those grains, instead of going out and buying a vegetable stock, which usually in the stores are higher in sodium. Even the low sodium ones have a bunch of sodium in them. So this way you can control the sodium that goes into your finished dish, okay? So what I'm gonna do is just heat up a small sauce pot, and I'm just gonna take the skin off of this onion. I don't like to put the papery skin into my stocks, as it can make them bitter. And the nice thing is that you don't have to be precise when you're cooking. You just want to cook everything down, so you want to cut it kind of small. So I'm getting my pot hot. I have a little bit of olive oil. Olive oil is an oil that's very good for you. Contains monounsaturated fat, polyunsaturated fats, not much saturated fat, very little amount, which is good. Okay, so it's good for your body as well. So always try to impart and use good oils. So I've got this onion, and all I'm going to do is cut this into small pieces. And as I cut, make sure your knife is sharp. Make sure your fingers are out of the way. Cut across, down into the onion, and then just come back straight down. And now you have some small diced pieces of onion. And I'm heating up my oil. And what I'm going to do with these onions and the rest of my vegetables is a term we use in the industry called sweating. Okay, so we have to sweat our vegetables, and what that means is that these vegetables are going to sit in this oil, just a little bit of oil, and it's going to open up those pores of those vegetables and bring out those flavors. Okay, if we just threw the vegetables in the water, the flavor is not going to be the same. So we want to sweat our vegetables. So I don't even have to peel my carrot. There's a lot of vitamins in the carrot peel. So I have a carrot here. Like if you have one that you had a half left, you want to use it up, just throw it in the stock. Okay. So all I do is just take the dirtier top and bottom part off. I've washed my carrot already, so obviously wash your vegetables before you use them. And then I'm just going to cut these into long strips, and then I'm going to dice them. Okay. Then I've got a couple mushrooms I had left in my fridge, so I have no use for them. What am I going to do with 2 mushrooms? I might as well use them up. They're turning a little brown. Instead of throwing them out, I can just dice these up. It's all vegetable flavor. Then I've got some celery. The top of the celery, I already rinsed the celery off, so this is the part we always cut up and then we throw it out. Why not use it to flavor our liquid? So we can use those leaves, those celery leaves, which have great celery flavor. I'm going to add that in there. Then I've got some garlic. So I got some garlic in the fridge. That was 2 cloves left. So I'm just gonna rough chop these. It doesn't have to be minced real fine or anything. Total utilization of the product. Then I have some tomatoes. I have this tomato that was in the fridge, soft. It's getting soft. Couldn't really use it for like a sandwich or anything. So I'm like, instead of throwing it out, the tomato's going to add some nice color to my stock and some flavor. So I'll do skin everything else. So all I'm going to do now is just slice this. Make sure your knife is sharp, so then it cuts through everything nicely. And when you're cutting and sliding stuff across your board, don't use the blade to slide stuff across turn your knife over. By doing that on the blade, it dulls your knife, and a dull knife is a more dangerous knife than a sharp knife. So, add my tomato. And I have one more here. It's a Roma tomato. Getting kind of soft. If I had a bunch of them, I would turn them into a tomato sauce, but I'm just going to add these right into my vegetable stock. And that's about it. Okay, so I've got, like I said, I think six or seven vegetables in here. All right, so now I've got my vegetables sweating. I've got a little bit of oil in there. You can hear that sound. Like I said, you want those vegetables to start opening up their pores, releasing their natural juices, and then that's going to help be the base for this flavored liquid. And the beauty of this, like I said, if you cut everything nice and small, it sweats down quickly. You get those flavors going, and then you only want to simmer for probably about a half hour, 45 minutes, and that's it. If we were making like a chicken stock. The bones need to simmer a lot longer, usually about 3 to 4 hours, because you really have to get the flavor out of those bones. Obviously, vegetables don't have any bones, so we just add some water. We just want to cover the vegetables with water, okay, after they've sweated and release all their flavors. Then we add just enough water just to cover. And we turn it up on high and bring it up to a boil. And then we just let that cook down for probably about, like I said, 30 to 45 minutes. And then we strain it, and what we have left is the vegetable stock. And then you can take all those residual vegetable pieces that all been cooked out, and then use that as a compost. Throw it in your garden, so it's a 100 utilization of the product, of all your leftover vegetables that you might have. Okay. The only other thing I'm going to add right now is maybe some little aromatic. So I'm going to add a little black peppercorn. We're going to strain this out so I don't have to do anything with it. I got some dried thyme, and then I got a few bay leaves. Okay. And those aromatics are actually going to add some more of that nice flavor to our stock. If you have a garden at home, especially at this fall time where your tomatoes are starting, you got abundance of tomatoes, some of them are going bad, they got some bad spots on it, cut those bad spots out, and then just cut them up and throw them into a vegetable stock. So then you can also put parsley stems. You can use fresh thyme, you can use fresh herbs if you want. A nice way to use, because we usually, when we use parsley, we take the tops of the parsley off, and then what do we do with the stems? We throw the stems out. But use the parsley stems right into your stock, and that's a nice aromatic and flavor that you can impart into your vegetable stock. Vegetable stocks are a great way, like I had mentioned earlier, to impart some flavors into those items that you might make at home. Okay, rice, different grains. So you can control what's in there. All right. If you use water, it's going to be very bland. If you use vegetable stock, you're going to have so much more flavor. Okay. So that's going to simmer for about 30 to 45 minutes, and then all I'm going to do is strain it. And this is what I end up with at the end, is this nice colorful liquid that I can use for however I want. I don't have any salt in there, so I've controlled the sodium, and I just have the flavors of the peppercorn, the thyme, the bay leaf, and all the vegetables that were in there. And this is so simple, and why not utilize leftover vegetables and do something with it, and something healthy for you. Okay, so Once your stock has simmered for 30 to 45 minutes, and you strain it, now you can let it cool down completely, okay? And if you're not in any hurry to use it, this freezes well. So put it in a container, store it, label it what it is, keep it in your freezer, and then when you need to, all of a sudden you're having some guests over and you want to cook something, maybe for a vegetarian, now you can't use chicken stock in your rice or your risotto. Now you can use vegetable stock, and you have it readily available in your freezer. And like I said, it freezes very well. So if you've got a bunch of vegetables laying around, you start throwing them out. You could throw spinach in there, your lettuces, anything with like that type of that'll break down pretty easy. Just don't do anything starchy.